Hello and welcome to this episode of the Sterling Health and Fitness Podcast. Really glad you could join us. So I'm real excited to bring you some information today that has to do with the company that I'm affiliated with as a personal trainer, the National Academy of Sports Medicine. It's an incredible organization with an incredible model for training, and today they are releasing the brand new CPT program. So to talk with to us about this today, I have a very special guest, the president of the National Academy of Sports Medicine, Andrew Wyant. And Andrew, thanks very much for taking the time joining me, and I'm excited about this new CPT program. What's going on with it? I know there are a lot of changes and they look incredible.
Well, Carl, thanks so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity because today is a very special day in the history of NASM. When you look back over time to the origins of our CPT program, what you have is you have some really great minds that were involved in practical applications around, how are the best ways to train. And when you look at the work of Dr. Michael Clark, and if you look at the contributions from Scott Lucette and Brian Sutton and so many other people who were involved in the various generations of the CPT, you had a really terrific model and a great program. But what was missing, as far as we could tell, is a way to take all that great information and make it even better. And what was missing is a way to have a real learning experience that spoke to lots of different types of people, and one that didn't require that you took and learned in chunks or segments, but actually had almost a ladder where you could build upon your learning throughout the experience. And so what happened was we listened to a lot of feedback that we had gotten over the years from people who had studied and received their CPTs from NASM. And they were all very excited and proud about getting their NASM-CPT, but they all felt like it was really hard. And it was hard for two reasons. One is the material's challenging, but two is that the sequence with which things were presented was a little bit more complicated and a little less relevant for the work that you actually do as a personal trainer. So what we did is we took this laddering or this scaffolding in terms of how you learn, and we started with the basics and built our way through, where we're continuously helping you gain the information, use the information, absorb the information in a meaningful way. And so it's a big change. And so, Carl, when you think about your experience of getting the CPT, what was it like for you when you were studying?
Well, I did the home study. I actually did not do a workshop. And looking back, I wish that I had done a workshop. I found that I had a difficult time. I had to just take a lot of time. It took me the better part of that 6 months, I think it is, that we were given at that point in time, and I scheduled my exam at the very last possible date. And, fortunately I passed. I was so excited, and I worked real hard. But I also find it, for me, a strictly home study with a textbook and a few online videos, those were not the optimal learning modalities for me. Mm-hmm. So, certainly nothing against the material was there. The information is there. My ability to take it in those modalities was a little bit difficult.
I think that your description is probably true for lots of people out there. And so what we've learned that if we can take that information and really make it much more practical, that we built a much more exciting CPT program. And when I say exciting, all the material that you had in previous generations of CPT programs are there. But what we've done now is we've delivered it in a totally new way. And we've extended it further so that if somebody already had earned their CPT years ago, one of the things that I noticed, and the fact that we got this information over and over again from various people in the industry as well as CPTs, is that when you look at a lot of the material, you'll see a perfect demonstration of a particular exercise. And what you don't see are the corrections and how to actually cue your client. And so what we've done is we've created lots of new videos and new content and new material. So even if you've been through a past generation of CPT, you'll find things in here that are actually much more helpful. So that when someone is in a particular position, let's say for this example, a plank, you might look at that plank position and you might say, oh, well, here are a couple of adjustments that you would make. And the fact that we bring that to you as a part of the program rather than having it be trial and error and learning on your part, I think makes this really different than any other program for CPTs out there. And we don't spend a lot of time thinking about where we stand relative to other CPTs. What we do is we try to think about ourselves as a leader, and we try to think about how do we continuously get better. And what I think you'll find in this generation of the CPT program is almost a new beginning for this company. Again, the same material. We're not changing the exercises. We're not changing the OPT model. What we're doing is giving you an entirely new instructional material package that leads you through this in a guided fashion. And so you mentioned the 6 months that it took for you to go through on the self-study. One of the things that we've seen is there are people who are already in the industry, and maybe they've been working as a personal trainer, or maybe they've been working in other ways and are very, very familiar. So we created one program that takes 10 weeks to go through. And it's, in effect, a guided study program with a cohort of your peers where you're going to be able to share information and talk to a coach who's leading you through this. And then we created a 16-week version where, again, it's for folks who maybe don't have all the base material and are learning new material as they go through. And having a coach who's working with you throughout this 10-week or this 16-week process gives you the chance to experience it in an entirely new way. And the cohort process, to me, is really also wonderful. Now it's not just you going through the material. You have other people that you can turn to as you're learning. Ask questions, engage more, see how others are doing, see how others are faring, and then take those practice exams and assess yourself throughout the learning process so that we feel like when you go through one of these guided study programs, we can guarantee that you're going to pass the exam because we know that if you've made it through and you pass through each part of these chapters, that you're prepared, you've learned the material, and you're going to be successful.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you have this interactive element to it now, which is, for somebody like me, that would be really good. I'm a very interactive learner. That's how I learn best. So I really like that. What else is going on in the program? I have a couple of notes here about, well, actually, you just kind of touched on that because I have a note about exam prep because a lot of people really fret about the exam. I was one of those people. So it sounds like you're covering several different learning modalities that will help to prepare for the exam.
Exactly. And because people learn in different ways, the program is designed to give you lots of different paths. And so whether you're going through with a group in a guided study program or using a self-study program, the fact is that we looked at the material and said, given how many different ways people learn, let's give people material in a way that works best for them. And I am so proud of the team that developed this. If you think about the number of hours that went into development on this product, there were 14,000 hours spent on this. And you start thinking about the investment. That investment in time is well over $1 million just to develop this new CPT package. The number of days since we started this is we're over 560 days today since we started the work on this product to the date of launch. There were over 60 different partners who worked on this product to develop this. So when you think about this, this is not a textbook. This is not a couple of experts sat down and just said, hey, I'm going to write a new textbook and let's, edit the old material and we'll come out with something fresh and we'll call it a certification. This is so far past everything that I've seen out there in the world of fitness in terms of the comprehensive nature of it, the use of instructional designers in this, the use of great editorial staff in it, the use of all kinds of subject matter experts and authors from lots of different walks of life. So we've hired some of the best to do the writing of this. We've hired some of the best in terms of instructional design team and product development team. And the research that's gone into this has been incredible. So when I look at this product, I see it as an entirely different thing than has existed in the past. And just the sheer investment of time, energy, and money that's gone into this would give you pause to say, you know what, NASM has really upped the ante here in this world of CPTs. And I believe that when you look at the next generation of people coming through the program, you won't be able to compare the people who have an NASM CPT to those who come from any other organization.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I saw some just little notes here about the interactive learning activities, memory tips, practical quizzes, and also I see something about an eBook version.
Right. One of the challenges we had in the past is making sure that the program was available and accessible to people who were working on tablets and devices like their smartphones and their iPads. And, you know, that's near and dear to my heart because that's the way I live, and I think that's the way most people do today, getting away from desktop use. So by having it in the format we do, we're both mobile-friendly, as well as the textbook is a wonderful addition to have as a reference and to have that additional material, but you're not required to actually use the textbook. If you're old school like me, you'll want that textbook and you'll want that tactile product in your hands so that you can underline it in the way that you like to underline it with your highlighter. And, you know, if you are someone of kind of a younger generational learner where you've spent a lot of time in an online environment in your terms of your courseware and course materials, you may not even want the textbook. And when you think about how we approached the old eTeach program, eTeach was so successful at getting people to go from a learner to successfully passing the exam. However, what was really interesting to me is that when we looked at the way that this operates, we were basically resequencing the chapters that existed in the book. So if you had the textbook and you're going through eTeach, you might jump from chapter 4 to 2 to 5 and then back to 3, and we'd skip over parts around anatomy, for example. And what we've done now is integrated it all the way through so that, again, it's back to that concept of the scaffolding or the laddering of the learning so that each part builds on itself throughout the entire package.
Fantastic. I love it. I really like the mobile aspect of it, the ebook. You know, I do like to have hard copy. I have several textbooks up here, all the NASM stuff, and
Right.
I like that. And I do like to highlight and underline, but, you know, when I'm traveling, because I'm traveling a lot these days, ebooks are the way to go, man. Get out the tablet, boom,
Sure.
There it is. Very convenient.
Absolutely.
Well, this is really exciting. I'm so, you know, I'm excited to see it, so I've got to check this out. I'll have a link on the screen, and for those who are listening to the audio version, if I'm correct, it's going to be nasm.org, correct?
That is correct. And today is the launch date, so it's a big day for us. We're very, very excited, and we can't wait to see the feedback. You know, for us, we've talked about, you know, guarantees of jobs in the past. Well, you know, now we're in a place where we can guarantee you that you're going to pass the exam if you go through the guided study program.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've looked at what we used to look at in terms of placing people, in effect, in an externship. And now we're looking at ways that we can take these programs and make them much more successful for people and giving them the experience of working in a gym, both from the learning material as well as afterwards. And so it's much more comprehensive, and it much more fits the needs of the potential CPTs. So we're thrilled, and I'm thrilled to be able to talk about it today with you. So thank you for having me on today, Carl.
Absolutely. Always great to see you. Always great to talk with you. Again, I appreciate you taking this time today. This is a big day for NASM, and I'm honored to be bringing this in this format to post it and let people know about what's going on. So, folks, be sure to check it out. NASM.org. Go to the site, check it out. There's a lot of great resources there. And, of course, this new CPT program just sounds outstanding. So, Andrew, thank you again. I'll see you at Optima in October. And folks, check that out too. Optima this fall. It's going to be fantastic. Thanks
All right,
again,
thanks so
Andrew.
much, Carl. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Take care.